Minerals form so much background to some of the rocks that we're going to talk about. They tell us something about the conditions upon which they formed. And so let's just jump right in. First of all, let's define mineralogy, and this is really the study of minerals. When we look at the physics and the chemistry of minerals, all of this goes into, or mineralogy as we call it. We try to classify them according to some of these properties and organize them. And as you'll see, there is a huge variety of minerals, not just based on their color and shape, but on where they formed. Now, we depend on minerals in so many ways in different aspects of our society. We need them for energy generation, whether it's nuclear, wind, some of these alternative technologies, whether it's even storage. So elements from the periodic table combine in different ways to form minerals, and we can then harvest these in the earth to use them to our advantage in energy generation. We also need minerals in some of the living systems, especially in human health. Our bones are made of minerals. We need minerals to maintain our bone health. We need minerals for our metabolism, to maintain our electrical systems in our body, the neurological systems. They require a certain number and kinds of minerals so that we can function properly. We need minerals in plants. Plants require mineral nutrients in the soils and in the ground in order to continue to grow and to provide us the nutrients that we need in food. We also find minerals are needed by very basic organisms, especially when we start to look at some of the hydrothermal systems that have bacteria, algae, and really primitive things like archaea. These guys all require minerals and to grow. So let's start with some of the definitions of minerals. We have four main things that are usually brought up. Minerals have to be naturally occurring. They have to be inorganic solids. They are usually ordered in some kind of internal molecular structure, and this in turn gives them some kind of a definite chemical composition. So let's take a look at these things individually. Now, naturally occurring. This usually means that it's made by some natural process. Now, we do have synthetic minerals that we can now make in the lab, and sometimes these are really hard to tell apart from the naturally occurring ones. The key thing is that natural minerals will have some impurities in it. And sometimes when we're looking at a mineral in the field and you look at it under a microscope, you can start to see little minute fractures or some other elements that have inserted themselves within the mineral to give it a slightly different color or some kind of discoloration. Minerals also are inorganic solids. You can't have a gas or a liquid mineral. Now, that also means that minerals aren't organic or biological. For example, a living tissue is not a mineral. However, you can have a biological system that might assemble a mineral in some form. Our human body has minerals in it. Certain animals have minerals in them, and it's possible that they are able to collect the mineral or the elements in their diet and then concentrate them and bring them together as a mineral. Now, there's also an internal ordered structure to minerals, and this depends on the size of the atoms that make them up. So depending on how you pack them and stack them, that is the actual molecules or the atoms within the molecules, then we start to develop a certain shape. And this will become more apparent as we start to look at some of the ways in which minerals break apart. Now, all minerals have a definite chemical composition, and these are all elements from the periodic table. Now, all these elements are made of atoms, and atoms, if we remember from chemistry, are the most basic form of matter that retains the properties of an element. So if you go below an atom, now you start to deal with protons and neutrons, and you're not looking at a property of gold or a property of silver or copper or some other element. Once you're into the subatomic realm, things start to look very differently or all the same among different elements. That's a good intro for mineralogy. In another episode, we'll take a look at some of the properties of minerals that geologists use in the field to identify them and some of the characteristics that make them unique.